This Friday, April 12th, NBA Betting Picks edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, MLB, NHL, golf, and more. Sign up today using our promo code NBA SGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Avo, where Avo is a premier arbitrage sports betting tool, user tool to bet both sides and lock in a profit. Access their platform for free at arbsversusodds.com. That's ARBSVSodds.com. And in honor of Masters Week, the Golf Gambling Podcast guys are giving away a tailor-made Spider X putter for absolutely free. Enter at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/masters. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Friday, April the 12th, currently 11:11 on the East Coast. Not your usual voice here on the Friday episode. I'll fill in here for Terrell as he's attending to a personal matter. But joining me here to help me break everything down in the NBA for the final Friday of the regular season and our last pod for the regular season, at least for this season. Got my guy here with me. It's Scott, Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man? How you doing this Friday morning?
Yeah, doing well after yesterday. I'll tell you that much. It's tough to do much better than that. We won everything on the pod. We both swept the lock and dog picks. We won the underdog lineup. We really just got everything right. Just simply put, it's a tough act to follow, but we'll do our best. I had the Van Vliet points as my lock, and it cashed in the first quarter. He had 20 in the first quarter. I ended up with 40 and change. So, yeah, that worked out well. I had the Knicks parlayed with the Pelicans. That worked out well as both teams won. I still can't believe Sacramento was favored. I still don't understand that line at all because the Pelicans own that team. 5-0 in the head-to-head this season. 5-0, and the Kings were laying. I don't know why. The Knicks one was a bit weird because they had a line movement, but you could tell Boston doesn't care. You don't walk into a game with 0 free throw attempts and tell me that you're still trying to win games. Like, I don't believe the Celtics really care at this point. Mazzulla in the postgame presser called the Knicks a desperate team, more desperate than they were, and they looked like it. Whatever you want to say. Like, you're clearly like just on autopilot until the playoffs start, so I didn't care about the line movement. The Knicks won comfortably. And yeah, overall worked out well. And I know our underdog lineups worked out well too. So no complaints.
Yeah, I had the Knicks -2.5 when we were recording the show. All the guys were questionable for the Boston Celtics, and about a couple hours later, we saw that everybody ended up playing. Then the line flipped in favor of the Boston Celtics, them being a -3-point favorite, where they were catching 2.5 prior to all the injuries being announced, or all the questionable ties, I should say. But didn't matter. I think it was a wire-to-wire win, I want to say, for the New York Knicks. They just came out and dominated. And, we knew that Boston's pretty much coasting now to get ready for the playoffs. And then, like you, I took an alt spread on the Pelicans as well. Had the -4. I mean, this game wasn't even close from the jump. Kings tried to make it a little bit interesting. I think it was in the second quarter or the third quarter. They did get it to single digits, but the Pelicans were just too much. And they also looked like the better and more desperate team last night in that game. So, yeah, did really well. We'll try to replicate it. We'll do our best. What we did yesterday. But, yeah, it's, again, I think every team is in action tonight, if I'm not mistaken. And then the final day of the regular season, which is Sunday. Everybody's off on Saturday, and then every team again plays on Sunday. So still a little bit of things to be determined here. One thing that was cemented for sure yesterday was that the Sacramento Kings will be, in fact, in the play-in tournament bracket. We'll find out who their opponent will be. So one of
We have a
Pelicans
three-way tie right now, right?
yeah, so it's either going to be the Pelicans or the Suns, but then the Warriors, the Lakers, and the Kings are pretty much in to that play-in tournament bracket in the Western Conference. We just don't know what the matchup is going to be exactly. So one of those four teams, as crazy as it sounds, or sorry, two of those four teams, I should say, are going to be going home as of next weekend. Be watching from the couch here. So at least record-wise right now, the Kings, the Warriors, and the Lakers are all tied. If the playoffs started today, it would be Phoenix hosting the Kings, and then the Warriors would be hosting the Lakers for the play-in tournament bracket. So, yeah, we'll find out everything more specifically on Sunday, of course, and maybe even tonight with some implications as well. A lot of games get to hear, Scott. Let's dive into it here. But before I do that, again, like I mentioned, Masters Week, round 2 should be teeing off here soon. I know they weren't able to finish round 1 yesterday because of the late start because of the weather. But again, in honor of Masters Week, the guys are giving away a putter for absolutely free. A tailor-made Spider Tour X putter and for that matter, you can enter for free to qualify and see if you win. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/masters, and you have until Sunday, maybe even Monday, depending on how this weather does. But again, get over there, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/masters to enter for that tailor-made Spider X putter giveaway. All right, Scott, let's get into the games here for tonight. We'll start it off here with the Orlando Magic. They are in Philadelphia to take on the Sixers. Sixers are currently a 7.5-point home favorite with a total of 212. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Orlando Magic, only Franz Wagner is questionable here tonight. For the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid is questionable, Kyle Lowry is questionable, and KJ Martin is questionable. Tyrese Maxey will be playing in this game. Right now, the Philadelphia 76ers sitting in that 7th spot. They're a game behind the Orlando Magic and the Indiana Pacers. Record-wise, the Magic and the Pacers are tied, but I think the Orlando holds a tiebreaker. Let me see what the situation and what the season series looks like between the Magic and the Sixers here. Scott, while you give your handicap for this game.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with the Sixers in this one. Orlando's a team that I roasted last episode because they look horrible right now. They had a shot to potentially get a 3 seed, and they have completely fumbled it and then some. So I don't like how they've played. Offensively, they're a mess. And I think they're a one-and-done team in the playoffs, depending on, of course, somewhat depending on matchup. But I like this Orlando team. I picked them to win the division preseason at 6-1. But watching them play, this team can't score. They're just a very ugly team to watch in the half court, and their backcourt defense recently has been terrible. Dame almost had 30. I mean, he probably could have had 30, but they were up by a lot, so he didn't play much in the fourth quarter. Van Vliet had like 37 against them. You can go down the line. They've been really bad against the point guard position, and Maxey's a problem. He's a serious matchup problem for this team right now. Not to mention Embiid, of course, dominating this team every time they face off against each other. So I'm on Philly in this one. The Magic, you can argue, based on the spread, either A, aren't going to care too much about the matchup, or B, are just outmatched. But I really don't like what I've seen from Orlando. I'm kind of selling stock at this point. I'm going to lean to Philly.
Yeah, I love Philly in the spot. We'll see if Embiid does, in fact, end up playing. But the Sixers have won both meetings this season against the Orlando Magic. So I would assume that if the Sixers win this game, they would be tied record-wise with the Orlando Magic. But then with the tiebreaker scenario, I believe that would at least put the Sixers into a top 6 seed. And then the Magic, I think, would fall down into that play-in tournament bracket. I'm going to scour the Twitterverse and see if I can find some of these scenarios here. But go along because I don't want to misspeak on some of these tiebreaker situations and, things like that. So at least for this game, yeah, I love the Sixers in the spot. I do expect Embiid to end up playing here tonight. And I think they just come out here and take care of business because the Sixers, their final game on Sunday, is against the Brooklyn Nets, which should be another game that they should take care of and win. So yeah, Sixers all the way here for me. Total 212 here, Scott. Anything on the total?
I'm gonna lean. I think I'm gonna lean over. Orlando defensively has really not been good. Gave up 124 to Charlotte, beat Chicago. Okay, gave up 118 to Houston, and they gave up 117 to Milwaukee. I just think this defense is not very good right now, and I think that this total is a bit low. I'm gonna lean over.
I think yeah, Sixers team total over would be the look for me. Like you mentioned, I'm not sure if I can trust the Magic offense right now to score the basketball. So I think that in fact, with this line at 7.5, do you think this is indicating that Embiid is playing, or do you think it'll move a little bit more in when Embiid does get ruled in?
I think it's already priced in. I
Okay.
think if it ends up being official, maybe 8.5. But the fact that it's at 7.5 already, I think it's
Yeah.
a pretty strong indication that Embiid has a decent chance to play in this game.
Okay.
You? We've
Yeah,
we've
I
seen
think
Philly
so
without
too.
Embiid. Like this team's not very good when Embiid doesn't play. Seven and
Yeah.
a half against the current. I forgot what Orlando is. The 4 seed right now. The 3 seed right
I think
now.
like 5 seed right
They're
now.
5 now. Okay. The point is
Yeah.
that they're against a team that's a higher seed than them. The fact that
Yeah.
the spread's this big, I think, tells you that Embiid should be playing in this game.
Okay. Yeah. And Sixers have won 6 in a row. They've won 7 out of their last 10 as well. So you want to keep that momentum going if you're the Sixers. Player props, what are you looking at?
I mention this every time these teams play against each other, and it's cash both times this season.
Mhm.
Embiid under assists against
Okay.
Orlando has just worked out pretty much every time I've backed it. I have to pull up the exact numbers. I don't think Embiid's like ever gone over a certain number with assists. I got to see what his number is though, as I'm trying to boot up the database right now. Let me just see what I got quickly. Sorry, but
You're looking for
Embiid
his
under
assist.
yeah, Embiid under assists attempted by. I love the over points, probably first quarter points. We know Embiid plays a bunch of minutes in the first quarter and he's
Yeah.
dominant, goes to the line a bunch. So I think he's in line for a solid opener, or I should say opening quarter for this game. But Embiid trying to find his assist though. It's at 4.5, which is not what I wanted. I believe the magic number was 5.5 against
Yeah.
Orlando. So I think I'm going to stay away from that one. It is plus money, so you maybe could find a 5.5 at a potentially expensive price, but I still don't mind it. 5.5 is at minus 175. No, I'm going to pass. So I can't take that. Points I got to mention, it's at 30.5. I just think Orlando can't guard him.
Yeah.
So I think that's intriguing. Maybe Embiid rebounds. I think Maxey has a big game, though. We talked about it before, but Orlando's backcourt defense has been really poor recently. And
Mhm.
if you end up seeing Embiid sit in a hypothetical situation, then Maxey gets a bigger workload. Or even if he does end up playing, Maxey can still go crazy. So I like Maxey in this spot quite a bit.
Yeah, Maxi in the last matchup against the Magic had played 34 minutes, had 32 points, 10 of 20 shooting. Prior to that, 34 minutes, 23 points, 9 of 18 shooting. So, I mean, yeah, we know it's going to be the Maxi and Embiid show for the Philadelphia 76ers. Not much I like for the Magic side as far as player props. And right now, Franz Wagner is listed, but again, we'll see if he does in fact end up playing in this game or not for the Magic. Got anything else for this game?
No, I think we basically covered it.
All right, next game on the schedule will go over to the Chicago Bulls. They are in the nation's capital to take on the Washington Wizards. Wizards are actually favored in this game, 1.5 with a total of 223. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, start here with the Chicago Bulls. They did play yesterday against Detroit and took care of business in convincing fashion. They got the victory 127-105. And now they are traveling in a back-to-back situation here to Washington, like I mentioned. And for their injury report for the Wizards, they are going to be, and I'm just going to do this again and just read who will be starting for this team because most of their guys are in fact out for this game. So for the Wizards, Jordan Poole, Corey Kispert, Denny Avdia, Patrick Baldwin, and Rashawn Holmes are the projected starting lineup. Guys that are out for sure: Marvin Bagley, Tyus Jones, Kyle Kuzma, and Landry Shamet. For the Chicago Bulls, I didn't see any notes about if anybody was sitting in this game, but this is a game that pretty much doesn't mean anything to the Chicago Bulls. They are right now 2 games clear of the Atlanta Hawks, so I think they, in fact, will be hosting the game for the first play-in tournament between the 9 and the 10 seed. And I think I already saw a line for this game as well, where the Bulls are favored by 3. But anyways, Wizards minus 1.5 for this game at least here. Scott, any thoughts on this one?
I mean, do you think the Bulls care? Probably not, because
I don't
the
think
Wizards
so.
are favored.
No, and it's up to -2 now as well.
But that involves laying points with the Wizards, so it's a tough call. But the Bulls probably sit everybody because I believe they played yesterday, right?
Yeah, they played Detroit. They took care of business. They won that game by 22.
Yeah, so they don't care. They're on a back-to-back. They're resting up for the play-in. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have to lean to Washington. Washington, even though this team has not been really trying for months at this point, the fact is they're still probably going to use most of their guys. I can't say the same for Chicago. I think that the Wizards are going to be against basically a G League team for this matchup. It should be a very fun player prop game if you can find Bulls players who actually might get a bunch of minutes. Maybe it's the Andre Drummond 2020 game. Who knows? Maybe he puts up 20 rebounds. Who knows? But the point is, it might be a fun player prop angle to bet on some bench players promoted to starter in this game. Maybe like a Javonte Green, who's been really good, for example, recently. But you get my point. It's a game where I'm not going to pick Chicago because they're not using anybody worth a damn. But you can still find value if you dig deep enough. If Drummond ends up starting in this game and he ends up playing 30 minutes, he really might put up 20 and 20. So I'd probably look for Drummond
30
to have
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I know he was listed doubtful for the last game and didn't end up playing. But if, in fact, the Chicago
It's
Bulls...
wishful thinking. But
yeah. And in fact, if they do end up sitting their starters in this game and Drummond does go, he should... I mean, would you be shocked if he had 10 rebounds in the first, 7 minutes of this game? Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, so we'll wait for the news and see if the Bulls, in fact, do end up sitting their starters. I think this is the last home game this season for... I don't think they have another home game after this, do the Wizards. Let me just double check. A lot of times I do like playing on those teams that... so last home game for them, and like playing on those teams, I don't know, maybe put on a show for the fans. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit.
I got a couple questions about that. So
Sure.
You're 7-33 at home.
Mm.
When they do the pregame, thank you for coming out, do they get booed? You're 7-33 at home.
This team, I don't think so. Not for this team.
Okay. And my second question,
yeah,
when they give the microphone to one of the players before the game, thanking them for coming out for the, for the home games, who gives the speech? Is it Kuzma?
Yeah, I think it would either be Kuzma is like a -150 favorite. Then I would go to Jordan Poole around +130.
No, Poole's got to be +500. Poole's arguably the worst player in the league for a couple months. He'd get booed like crazy.
Then I'd say Avdi at +120 would be the guy then. And then after that, it falls off.
I'd assume it's Kuzma, but I'm just saying. The point is you don't have many great options. That's kind of the point I'm making. Maybe Tyus Jones. Sleeper Tyus Jones.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm not again. You mentioned Andre Drummond. That's the only angle I would be interested in. I would lay the points here with the Wizards, depending on who plays here for the Bulls.
It's a good point. Kuzma did reject the trade to stay with Washington to build something. So Kuzma definitely just moved up to -350.
Yeah, there we go. That's a great point. Anything else for this game?
No. Once again, the Wizards being favored tells you what you need to know. The Bulls, once again, are either A, going to pull a Celtics and just no-show the game mentally, or B, they're sitting their entire team.
Yeah.
So I think Washington's the move. Wait for some last-second starting lineup announcements and maybe take a flyer on a bench player for Chicago. Javonte Green has been really good. Maybe take a shot at him to score 20, maybe get a double-double, something like that.
Yeah, great call. All right. Before we move over to the next game on the schedule here for tonight, Underdog Fantasy. Don't know what you guys are waiting for. We hit one yesterday. Hopefully we can do it again tonight. But
we've kind of dominated the Underdog.
It was pretty easy. It was pretty easy last night. Yeah. Underdog Fantasy, it's the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Play their pick-up game along with us. You can pick your favorite players' higher or lower stat total in this week's games for a chance to win big. And you can win up to 100 times your money in a single entry on a single night. Like we mentioned, we've had a lot of success with our Underdog Fantasy entries between myself and Scott. We hit one again yesterday. It was pretty comfortable last night. Sign up today with our promo code NBA SGPN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100 as well as an instant pick'em special. Underdogfantasy.com. Find them in the App Store and don't forget to register with our promo code NBA SGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 years or older and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right, Scott, let's keep it rolling here. A lot of games to still get to here. We'll go over to your Brooklyn Nets. They are traveling to Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Knicks. Currently, as it stands, the Knicks are a 11-point favorite with a total of 211. Knicks did play last night, like we talked about, in Boston. Convincing win for them, 118-109. This game was
They could have won by 40.
Yeah. You could have won by 20 plus. Injury report, start here with the Brooklyn Nets. They will be without Bates Diop, no Dorian Finney-Smith. Cam Johnson is questionable. Daron Sharp is questionable. Dennis Smith Jr., Ben Simmons, and the usual suspects are out for this game. For the Knicks, again, like we mentioned, they did play last night, so they do get that extra time to submit that injury report. And just take a look at their standings right now because it was a big game for them against Boston. Right now, they are on the 3 seed. They are 1 game clear of the Cleveland Cavaliers of the 3 seed. And I think, again, if they pretty much win here tonight, they'll lock in that number 3 seed. They could possibly get to the number 2 seed as well. I would have to take a look at what the tiebreaker situation head-to-head is between the Bucks and the Knicks. So we'll talk about the Bucks here in a minute. But, Scott, right now, the Knicks are laying 11 against the Brooklyn Nets. What do you think?
I'm going to have to lean to the Knicks. Simply put, I've mentioned this earlier in the season. The Nets can't beat this team. The Nets used to dominate the head-to-head in years past. That flipped last year. It really has just turned into a Knicks domination when these teams get together, and it makes sense because the Nets are headed nowhere, and they have a bunch of kind of out-of-place role players as, like, main contributors on their team, which is not the way you want to potentially rebuild. On the other hand, you got the Knicks, who have been in great form. They are trying to improve their seeding. Where are they at now? They're 3?
The Knicks. Yeah, they're number 3. They're seed.
Point is they got a shot at the 2. So
Yep.
I think they're going to try to go for seeding. You know how far up they are on the 4 seed?
They are 1 game clear of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I don't know who has the head-to-head between Cleveland and New York.
Let me see. I can take a look here. So, Bucks and Knicks quickly head-to-head. The Bucks have won 3 out of the 5 matchups this season, and then between the Knicks and we said Cavs was the name. Yeah. Let's see here. So in that series, the Knicks have won 2 out of the 3 games, so they have the tiebreaker.
Okay, so that helps, but that does mean that the Knicks can clinch at least a 3 seed with a win tonight.
Correct.
So with that being the case, I think the Knicks take it to them. The Nets, we saw, barely beat Toronto. They needed Dennis Schroeder to have a big 4th quarter to win that game. Toronto's a laughingstock. I'm still salty Quickly didn't get there for his double-double when I got it at like 260 and it closed at like plus 105 and he was 1 assist short. But the point is, I think the Knicks kill this team. At the end of the day, the Nets don't have much size. Claxton only has about 2 games left until he leaves the Nets because they're probably not going to pay him all that money. So we'll see if Claxton plays well or not. But at the end of the day, the Knicks are still playing for something. The Nets have nothing to play for. And it's a back-to-back, but the Knicks were up 30, and they coasted the entire second half, especially the 4th quarter. So I'm going to go with the Knicks. I think the line's warranted. I think they win this game by 15 to 20.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I did see a note that Brunson left the game yesterday, or was headed to the locker room, I should say, but I didn't see what the exact designation was, but I'm
To be
pretty sure that
fair, if
he
my
did
team was up
return.
30, I'd probably head to the locker room too.
Yeah, maybe he had to go use a restroom or whatever the case might be. But yeah, kind of just looking at the minutes that these Knicks players played yesterday. I mean, DiVincenzo was the one guy that played 41 minutes because they only played 9 guys yesterday, did the Knicks. But
That's so funny
oh
though. That's so
yeah,
funny.
OG played 26, Hartenstein 33, Brunson only played 30, Hart only played 32. So I think that they knew that they had this game here tonight where they could just come out and take care of business and at minimum clutch the 3 seed. So yeah, Knicks fear for me. They've just been really good to us all season long. Total is 211. Any thoughts on that?
Not really. I could see a world where the Knicks score like 120, and I could see a world where the Nets score like 85. So it really, I got nothing. I'm gonna lean under, I guess.
Yeah, I'd probably look at, yeah, I think the under in this game. I mean, we know Boston, like you mentioned, no motivation, no real anything to play any type of defense. The Knicks scored 118. I just don't trust the Nets to put up enough points. I mean, they only put up what 106 against one of the worst defenses in the Toronto Raptors the other night. So that was a little bit telling to me, uh, for that Brooklyn Nets team. So I'd lean under. Player props in this game. Anything you're looking at?
Uh, I don't really have much, to be honest. I like the over for Cam Thomas shot attempts. He's going to be chucking the entire game. I'm trying to think if I want to go for rebounds for Hart, because Hart's been so damn good on the boards,
Yeah,
and
16 yesterday.
he's just an incredible player. I've been a fan of his for a long time, and unfortunately for me as a Nets fan, he's on the Knicks. But it is what it is. He's a very good player, and Thibodeau using him like 40 minutes a game is hilarious. I think for this one, I'm probably going to. I mean, Brunson's the obvious choice, but the question is he somewhat injured, or do they pretend the Nets actually game plan to stop him? I'm not even sure. Maybe Brunson assists if you want to pivot, but DiVincenzo threes is obviously always worth consideration. But at this point in the season, it's kind of juiced all the way upwards. I don't really know. Maybe Hardenstein blocks. I don't have much in this game, to be honest. I don't know who's going to play. I don't know what the incentive is for the Nets. Yeah, I don't really have much. Cam Thomas shot attempt should be there though. It's Cam Thomas and MSG. He's going to try to drop 30.
Yeah, I think that the rebounding prop for either Hardenstein or Josh Hart would be the way that I would look in this game. Don't really want to touch anything on the Brooklyn side of things. I don't think that number one, they'll be motivated in this game, but I think that defensively, the Knicks are going to put the clamps down. So I would probably look at a rebounding prop, if anything, for this game between the Knicks and the Nets. Got anything else for this game?
No. I think that's basically it. Once again, I don't really have much in this game because the Knicks
Yeah,
can name their score. The question is, are they going to?
yeah, I agree. All right, Scott, before we get over to the next game on the schedule, let me tell everyone about the newest sponsor over on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. That's going to be Avo. We're proud to partner up with Avo, the premier sports betting arbitrage tool. If you're new to arbitrage sports betting, it's very simple. Basically, betting both sides of a bet at two different sports books to lock in a profit. The Avo tool scans the sports book looking for discrepancy in the odds and then tells you how much you need to place with each sportsbook and the expected profit. The tool is super easy to use and lightning fast, as speed is a big part of arbitrage sports betting. The best part is Avo is currently free to use without any restrictions. That's right, absolutely and completely free. Get started today at arbsversusodds.com. Again, that's arbsversusodds.com. ARBSVS odds.com. That's arbsversusodds.com. All right, Scott, let's get over to the next game on the schedule here. A game that's going to have pretty good seeding expectations or implications, I should say, between the Indiana Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Currently, as it stands, the Cavs are a 2.5 point. This was 3 last night, 2.5 in favor of the Cavs with a total of 233.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, we'll start here with the Indiana Pacers. The usual guys are out. The only other significant questionable tag is going to be Isaiah Jackson. He's sitting with a left hamstring strain. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sam Merrill is doubtful for this game. Dean Wade is out, and Donovan Mitchell is available to play in this game. Looking at the standings for these two teams in the Eastern Conference, Currently, the Cavs are 1 game ahead of the Pacers for the 4th spot. And right now, the Pacers are in that 6th spot right now, where they have a 1 game lead over the Sixers, and they are tied record wise against the Magic. So I think the Pacers, I think even if they lose and if Magic lose here tonight, I think they would still stay in that 6th spot, and then the Magic would drop down and the Sixers would move up. But Cavs in the 4th spot, they're looking to host a first round series, whoever they end up playing here. But 2.5 is a number here for the Cavs here. Scott, what do you think?
I think I got to lean to Indiana. I just don't like this Cavs team at all. It's just as simple as that. I don't want to lay points at this Cavs team. I think that even though Indiana has been kind of flying under the radar recently, I can't say they've been really good or really bad. They've kind of just been treading water for the last couple of weeks, and nobody's really paid attention to them. I still kind of trust them more than Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland's been that good, and I think that Mitchell arguably came back prematurely. But it's a weird situation with Cleveland that I mention every time I'm on the show. I just feel like Cleveland is better when guys are out. It's really weird. I think when their starting 5 is fully healthy, with Allen and Mobley and Garland and Mitchell all playing together, it doesn't work. It's kind of weird. It's like these random runs they go on, these winning streaks, are when one of these guys are out. I don't know if you've noticed the same thing, but I feel like I've noticed that every time.
Yeah. I think the inconsistencies of this Cavs team, especially in the second half, and I think a large part has been due to the injuries, like we mentioned, right? Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley had missed some time. Some of their role players were in and out of the lineup as well. It's just the fact that I don't trust this Cavs team to cover a spread when they are favored, but they've been pretty good at home. 24-14 straight up. That's 63% straight up, but they're only 17-20-1 against the spread. So I think I would just completely take the spread out of it. I think the Cavs can get it done here at home against the Pacers. So I would look at the Cavs money line in this game. Donovan Mitchell had been struggling, like you mentioned, and I think that he may have came back a little bit prematurely, but he did have a really good offensive output in the last game against the Memphis Grizzlies, where he was 9 of 17 from the floor, 5 of 10 from 3-point line, a little bit more efficient. And he's had pretty good success against this Pacers team. And we'll talk about player props here in a second. So I think the advantage for this Cavs team here, Scott, in this game is going to be in that front court, right? Because we've talked a lot about how the Pacers really don't have anybody in that front court when it comes to rim protection and things like that. Yeah, they have Miles Turner, but now you have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen that should dominate on the boards here tonight and possibly create those second chance opportunities for this Cavs team. And I think that just might be the difference in this game for the Cavs here. So I'm just going to take the spread out of it. I would be on the Cavs money line here for them to get it done here tonight and pretty much cement themselves into that 4th spot in the Eastern Conference here. So that money line right now is at minus 135-ish on DraftKings, and on FanDuel right now they're at minus 138. So again, definitely shop around, but I'll be on the Cavs money line here for this game between the Pacers and the Cavs. Total's 233.5. It has moved up half a point here, Scott. Any thoughts on the total?
I think for the total, I might be tempted by the under in this game, but Cleveland defensively has really not been good lately, which is kind of why I'm also leaning Indiana. Looking at the actual meetings this season, 2 of the meetings have gone over, but the last meeting, the recent one that took place about a month ago, ended up landing 211. I think I'm going to lean under. Not really a strong opinion by any means, but I'm kind of just going to lean that way. Not really any strong opinions on this game at all. I'm kind of just fading Cleveland because I really don't like what I've seen from them for the last couple of matchups, for the last week and a half. Indiana's won 3 straight. They've been fine. Beat Oklahoma City, which was a pretty good win. But at the end of the day, I think I'm just going to lean Pacers and lean under, but basically not have much action on this matchup.
Any player props?
For player props, I know Halliburton assists over has been killing everybody on gambling Twitter for the last month and a half, so most people have officially jumped ship. I'm trying to think of what I actually do want for this one. I maybe would not mind a Mitchell under in this game. Mitchell, for example, his PRA in this game is set at 36.5. He's gone under in 8 of the last 10. And you're looking at the last couple games he's played. He had 29 points against Memphis, so maybe he's figured it out. But he was still kind of looking, I don't want to sound like a shell of himself, but definitely not at 100%. So I'm trying to think if I want to go with the points, rebounds and assists under, or maybe just go with the points under. But the point is, I think Mitchell might be a bit overvalued. Maybe he figured it out against Memphis. Maybe Memphis is just a bad basketball team. Maybe both. But Mitchell, I still feel like is mispriced. I feel like they're still pricing him like he's fully healthy and he's this world beater, and he just really hasn't been since he came back from injury. So I don't mind potentially going with a lean there for a fade.
Yeah, I think the shot volume is going to be the key for Donovan Mitchell, but he's actually been really good against the Pacers since he joined, I should say, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And maybe that injury is still lingering a little bit, but the last 5 games against the Pacers, 41, 28, 19, 40, and then he had a 38-point game earlier this season prior to the injury. And I think if he gets the shot volume, I do anticipate and I do expect him to get over the point total, but he hasn't had more than 17 shot attempts over the last 5 games for this Cavs team. So, and again, I think that for this Cavs team, that if they're going to have any success in the playoffs, like it's going to obviously have to be on the back of Donovan Mitchell scoring the basketball for this Cavs team. So, um, I for his points prop, I do like it. I feel like it. I think the 25.5 number right now, it's a little bit short, and I do understand it because again, he's only had one 25 plus point game over the last 5 games. And in fact, it was the last game where he only had, or he did get over 25.5 in the last game, I should say, against the Memphis Grizzlies. 9 of 17 shooting, like I mentioned, and he was able to hit 5 threes. But if this turns into a track meet and we see shot volume getting up, then I do think that Donovan could get over this number here of 25.5. So I'll be curious to see again how he comes out and plays in this game. Any other player props you're looking at for this game or anything else for this game?
Thought about Siakam rebounds, decided not to do it. Strus turnovers is still solid. I know I gave that out as my dog about a week or so ago, but Strus has had at least 2 turnovers in 4 of the last 5, 8 of the last 10, and his line's at 1.5 at -119, which I think is just a very good deal. So I don't mind Strus over 1.5 turnovers in this game.
All right. Let's get over to the next game on the schedule here. We've got the Charlotte Hornets. They are in Boston to take on the Celtics. Celtics currently are a 7.5 point home favorite, total of 217.5. Injury report. Start here with the Hornets. They are going to be without the usual guys. Nick Richards and Grant Williams are both questionable for this game. I fully anticipate Boston to just sit everybody in this game since again they played yesterday. So I'll make this simple. I'd lean Charlotte here. Charlotte offensively has been better as of late than they have been prior to, and Brandon Miller's just been playing out of his mind. So I would look. My only look would be Charlotte here and the Charlotte team total over here, Scott.
Yeah, I think I'd look for Brandon Miller points over. I'm going to lean Charlotte as well because I think that they care more about the game, even though both teams are technically playing for nothing. I do
Yeah.
think that Boston's going to sit everyone. The bench players might be good enough to still cover, but I can't take the actual favorite of multiple possessions with an all bench lineup. So I can't do that. Give me Pritchard props, give me Hauser props, the classic bench warmers for Boston who step up when everyone's out. But I'm going to lean to Charlotte. Brandon Miller might drop 30 in this game.
Yeah, Brandon Miller. There was a poster in the last game that he had, which was really, really nice. I think it was against the Bulls, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it
But
was against the Hawks.
yeah,
But
okay, the Hawks. I'm sorry. Let me take a look at some of the minutes. I mean, no starter played more than 30 minutes for the Boston Celtics last night outside of Jason Tatum. He played 32, but again, I fully expect at minimum Tatum sit in this game. Brown probably send up Porzingis for sure. I think sits here tonight. So with all that being said, yeah, Hornets would be the only look I would have. Don't have any player props on the Boston side. You mentioned Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges. Those guys have been playing absolutely great. Outside of that, nothing else for me in this game. You have anything else?
no, not really.
All right, next game on the schedule here. Let's go over to the Milwaukee Bucks. They are in OKC here tonight to take on the Thunder. Thunder currently laying 15 points in this game against the Bucks. Total of 223.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams. For the Milwaukee Bucks. We know Giannis is at minimum missing the rest of this season, possibly more time, but we'll see what transpires about his injury diagnosis of the calf strain. Damian Lillard is doubtful. Brooke Lopez, questionable with the rest designation. Chris Middleton, questionable. And Bobby Portis is also questionable for this game. So looks like at least a top 5, 6 guys are sitting this game for the Bucks. For the OKC Thunder, pretty clean injury report. Only guys that are on there are players that are on either G League assignment or two-way contracts. So taking a look at the standings here, Scott, the Bucks are 1 game clear of the Knicks. I
with the tiebreak.
With the tiebreaker. So again, this doesn't mean anything really to the Bucks. And then for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they are 1 game back of Denver for the number 1 seed. They are currently in that 3 spot right now, but they are tied with Minnesota record-wise, but Minnesota has a tiebreaker. So I don't know if there's a huge implication for this game for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, they could win out and maybe Minnesota loses a game here and they get the 2 seed, but at minimum, we know the Thunder are going to be the 3 seed here, Scott, but minus 15 for the Thunder.
I'm not laying 15. That's just not going to happen. Now, the Thunder ended up killing the Spurs. I said they would. I thought they'd win by 40, and they won by 38 because Wemby's out. The Spurs are a lost cause. I thought Oklahoma City would kill them, and they did. So props to them. Did what they were supposed to do, but the Spurs without Wemby are probably the worst team in the entire league, and they're also missing a bunch of other guys, Vassell, for example, whatever. The Bucks have been better lately. They had a really bad stretch. Then they kind of put Pat Bev in the starting lineup, and things turned a bit. The reason why the line's so big is because Giannis is still out, obviously.
Yep.
Lillard is doubtful.
Yep.
Portis is questionable. Middleton's questionable. They're missing arguably their entire team.
Yep.
Having said that, I think 15 is a lot. Oklahoma City has not been great at winning by a ton as massive favorites this season. And maybe I just think the Bucks are a bit feistier than people are giving them credit for. So we've seen Doc Rivers in the past. Even if you don't like him as a coach, I don't. I think he's a bad coach. But even when Embiid was injured or was sitting with Philly when he was the coach there, they were really good in these type of spots. We got the bench unit tonight, let's surprise them. And then they would find a way to be competitive. It's what Doc Rivers is always good at. He got the most out of guys in these type of rest spots where they were competitive and nobody thought they'd be competitive. So I think it's a pretty standard spot for Doc Rivers. I'll lean to the Bucks. I think 15 is a lot of points. Oklahoma City doesn't care. They just want to win the game.
Yeah, I think that if you like the Thunder side here, you maybe just want to get in the first half and then get out with your money because, again, there's always that case of those guys that have something to prove that are fighting for roster spots for next season, whether it's this team or another team that want to, go out and put out a performance and they can backdoor this thing. So I think we've seen that multiple times over the past several weeks here. So if you want the OKC side, I would either look at first half or first quarter, first half. I think that'd be the only look, but yeah, no interest, at least full game laying the entire 15 points here with the Thunder team. Anything on the total here? 223.5?
No. I think I'd lean over because if the Bucks are sitting everyone, they might not care about defense in this game. I'll lean over. Once again, I could be wrong about Milwaukee, but Doc Rivers historically has been pretty good in this spot of getting the most out of random bench guys playing a bunch of minutes. So, yeah, I'll lean Milwaukee, but I'll lean over. You?
I think I'll look at the over in this game here as well. Again, I don't think defense is going to be a priority here for the Milwaukee Bucks, but I do think that this could get maybe into the range of the 230s here. I think there's Bucks, at least some of the guys that are on their bench that can shoot the basketball, finish around the rim as well. And again, I'm not sure there's a lot of motivation either for OKC, at least, for implications as far as playoff seeding. It's just that get our guys, some minutes, see if we can win this game, and then maybe they sit everybody on Sunday. So, yeah, I'd lean towards the over, nothing in specific. Player props, not really much out there for this game. I don't want to touch anything either for at least the Thunder side either. So I didn't have anything as far as player props. You have anything?
No, not really. I'm gonna have to wait to see who's playing in this game. We'll go from there. For Milwaukee, I'm trying to think. For Milwaukee, if they're benching like the entire team,
It's Thanasis
Who,
triple-double game.
I was thinking Pat Bev assists, but close enough. Maybe Pat Bev assists. Like, I'm trying to get creative here.
I can't
Malik
get any more
Beasley
creative than
threes.
that.
Malik
Yeah.
Beasley, he got benched. Why not? Let Beasley shoot the ball 20 times.
All right, next game on the board here, we'll go to the Denver Nuggets. They are going to be in San Antonio to take on the Spurs. Denver currently laying 13 points against San Antonio with a total of 222.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Denver Nuggets, everybody should be a go in this game because I did see everybody popped up probable for the Denver Nuggets, but I'm trying to get to their injury report here. Yeah, so Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., KCP, all probable here tonight. For the Spurs, the usual suspects are out. Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Chetty Osman, Keldon Johnson. So again, it's going to be the Victor Wembanyama show here for the San Antonio Spurs. For the Denver Nuggets, pretty simple. Win, and I think you are going to be the number 1 seed. Officially, I should say. So I just think they come out and bury this team. So I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to lay it here with the Denver Nuggets here. Scott, you?
If Wemby plays, I think I'm actually going to lean to San Antonio because
Okay.
last time we saw them face off against each other, Wemby was phenomenal. Now, the Joker still at 40. They still won the game, but the point is the game was competitive, and we've seen Denver struggle to cover as massive favorites. So I just find it weird that the last meeting that they had was very, very competitive. Wemby's playing, and now the line is at 13. I think the line's off here. Now, can Denver come out and win by 30? Of course. They're Denver. Like, they could kill this team. But
Yeah.
with Wemby being in the lineup, he takes these meetings personally against top-tier NBA competition or against Chet because, once again, he wants to compete against his fellow Rookie of the Year competitor, even though that award's been decided for about 3 months. I think Wemby has a monster game. I think he keeps the Spurs somewhat in it. I'm going to lean Nuggets. But we've seen Joker go to the bench and they blow a massive lead. It happens all the time. So I'll lean to the Spurs plus the 13.
Yeah, the Denver Nuggets are 3-0 straight up in the season series. They're 2-1 against the spread, but it really hasn't been by a whole hell of a lot of margin. 12, 11, and then 5 have been the victories for the San Antonio Spurs. For the Denver Nuggets this season against the Spurs. So, yeah, I think they come out here and take care of business. And if you want to look at Denver early in this game, I couldn't talk you off of that. I had them in the first half against the Jazz the other night. That one got to the window. Got a little bit tricky there in that final couple of minutes, but defense stepped up and they were able to get the first half covered. So couldn't talk you off of Denver first half in this game either. And then, maybe they can backdoor this thing if you are the San Antonio Spurs. Player props, what are you looking at?
Wemby blocks, I got to be tempted by. I forgot what he had last time. 9, I think. Didn't he have 9 blocks in the last game against Joker?
Yeah, and that was because Reggie Jackson kept trying to drive to the basket, and he had a Wembanyama waiting there for him. But
he's still in the rotation. Don't worry. There are a couple of free blocks waiting for him with Reggie Jackson. But I got to assume Reggie Jackson's side notes are not going to play much in the playoffs. I think they're going to have to use Brown or somebody. Because Reggie Jackson's not even a point guard anyway. When you really think about it, he's kind of just a small shooting guard, isn't he?
Yeah, but I don't remember last year. I don't know if he got a lot of minutes or not, but it would be Christian Brown coming off of the bench.
Watson off the bench. He's not a guard, but he's got to play. Watson's so good defensively.
Yeah,
I think Reggie will be the odd man out if I had to guess for the rotation. But for the sake of this game, I do think that Wemby, once again, is going to dominate with the defense, and I do think that the Nuggets are really not a great three-point shooting team. Porter Jr. is a good three-point shooter based on percentage. Murray's solid as well, but you think about what they do offensively, and a lot of it is going to be backdoor cuts. A lot of it's going to be Joker operating with a lot of off-ball action. If Wemby's going to clog up the lane, that's putting a lot of pressure on Denver's actually making outside shots. And I am skeptical of that prospect. So I'm going to lean Spurs. I think Wemby's going to once again patrol the middle. I think he'll be able to eliminate Aaron Gordon pretty much entirely from the game. Because Gordon, we know, can really only score near the rim. He's not a good jump shooter. So if Wemby's going to be sitting there and his length is going to get into Joker's line of vision for some backdoor cut passes, I think Denver's offense might struggle in this game. I'm going to lean to the under, and I'm going to lean to San Antonio.
All right. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of player props. Jokic has had pretty good success scoring wise
Yeah,
against the Spurs. That number is currently off the board for whatever reason,
I
but
like the under for assists. It's the same logic as the Timberwolves game where I took the under assist as my lock. San Antonio decides to let Joker do what he wants. You're going to lose either way. You might as well pick a method that makes the most sense. And apparently, letting Joker go one-on-one against Wemby, where he ends up with 9 blocks, is probably a good strategy. So I see it being the same way. I like Joker under assist in this game.
yeah, just pulling up the numbers for Jokic over the last couple games here against the Spurs. So 37, 39, 31, and then 42 in that game back on April 2nd against the Spurs. So right now that number's at 27.5 minus 130 over on DraftKings. You want to get on Jokic's points prop to go over. And I mean, the shot volume has definitely been there as well for Jokic against the Spurs. So that would be my look as far as player props for this game.
What are the assists at for Joker? Is it still 8.5?
Let's see. Assists for Jokic. 7.5. Yeah.
It's plus money though, so maybe you can get a juiced 8.5. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think you get the point I'm trying to make. It just seems like stylistically the Spurs are sticking with these. It's 155 if you want the under 8.5. But to go through the head-to-head meetings for reference against the Spurs, last game he had 6. Meeting before that he had 5. So yeah, it just seems like the under assist is worth a look for Joker.
All right, next game on the schedule here, we've got the LA Lakers. They are in Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are currently catching 15.5 points in this game with a total of 225.5. Looking at the injury report for the Lakers, Anthony Davis is probable, LeBron is questionable, and the usual guys are out, Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood. For the Memphis Grizzlies, yeah. For the Memphis Grizzlies, let me just read who will be starting for this team. Let's see. So Grizzlies, let's see here. Grizzlies, where are they? Scottie Pippen Jr., Jordan Goodwin, Gigi Jackson, Jake LaRivia, and Trey Jameson are going to be the 5 starters expected for the Memphis Grizzlies. Other than that, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that are going to be out for this game here, Scott. So 15.5 is the number for the Lakers.
They should kill them because it's a very meaningful game. We got a 3-way tie for the potential 7. Wait, it's for the 8 spot?
For the 8th, yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're all record-wise. They're Warriors, Kings, and Lakers are all tied record-wise for 8, 9, and 10.
I mean, the Lakers are kind of screwed because the Kings and the Warriors have the tiebreaker over them.
Yeah.
So they're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
They still got to go for it. I mean, realistically, do I think that the Warriors and the Kings are both going to lose out? No. In theory, if the Lakers end up winning out and the Warriors and the Kings each lose 1 game, and I think each team does play, the Pelicans just played the Kings. I know the Warriors play the Pelicans tonight. So the Lakers are going to try to go for it. They're probably going to end up either as the 9 or the 10, if I had to guess. They got to go for it. But, I mean, Memphis is a team that we know is injured all the time, and they're somehow still competitive. And the Lakers this season have been really, really bad laying massive numbers. They're really, really bad at playing down the competition. And even last game, for example, they were on a back-to-back, and they were able to beat Memphis, but they gave up 124 points to the Grizzlies. 124 points? I mean, they scored 136, and they still didn't cover. I know Anthony Davis didn't play in that game, but still, I'm going to lean to the points. The Lakers can win this game by 30. I'd probably bet it live. At some point, the Lakers will be up 20 in this game. At some point, they're going to be up 20. And they're going to get bored in the second half, and Memphis will make the game somewhat competitive. I've seen it a bunch this season. The Lakers take a massive lead, they take a nap, they win by 12. It's pretty standard. I'm going to take the points.
Yeah, I think that if you want to get on the Lakers here, it's probably first half. And again, like we mentioned, like with some of these big spreads, there's always that chance that you get backdoored. And again, for these starters here for this Memphis Grizzlies team, like they don't have a choice to be out there because they have 10 guys that are going to be out for this game for the Memphis Grizzlies here. So again, like you said, the Lakers should come out and win this game by 20 plus, but do we have faith in them to do it for a full game? Absolutely not. So Lakers first half would be the look for me. And then again, if you want to get in live that the Lakers in that third quarter come out a little bit flat and they turn it up,
They're going to be up 20 at some point.
They will. Yeah.
So
it could be early on. But the Lakers have 2 winnable games left here. So obviously they have Memphis tonight, and I think their last game is
play the Pelicans.
Yeah, so that's a big game there. So yeah, so they have to just come out here and dominate here before they have the Pelicans. Pelicans have a tough final stretch there. They have the Warriors tonight, and then they got the Lakers on Sunday. So
they don't even have the breaker over Phoenix.
Yeah. Player props, anything you're looking at? Or sorry, the total in this game?
Total's so high. But once again, I think it might be inflated because of the last meeting, but AD didn't play. And AD is, of course, the only guy on defense who I think is really worth a damn on that entire team. So I mean, if AD plays, I guess I'm leaning under. But he's probable. So yeah, give me the under.
Fine. Yeah,
maybe Grizzlies team total under, but I mean, I can't use the last meeting at all. I have to toss it out because this team's totally different when AD's out.
Yeah, last 3 games overall for the Grizzlies, 96, 87, and 98. Like, they haven't even touched 100. They did score 108 against the Pistons, 111 against the Bucks.
I don't know if 108 against the Pistons is good or bad.
Yeah. They did score 110 in a prior game against the Pistons. But again, if you want to go for a play, it would probably just be Lakers team total over, honestly. I think they are the ones that do the bulk of the scoring here tonight against the Grizzlies. All right, any player props you're looking at?
I think AD is going to kill this team if he actually plays 30-plus minutes. Kills Memphis every time they play against them. So I think AD points and rebounds, worth a look. Maybe rebounds by himself. Could be a LeBron triple-double game. Wouldn't shock me. I think he had one last game against Memphis, but that was, I think he did. Yeah, he did. I mean, AD didn't play, but he still had 12 assists there. I don't mind LeBron triple-double. We talked about it before. The Lakers they need this game because if they end up losing this game, they're basically guaranteed to be if they lose one of the next 2 games, they're guaranteed to be either the 9 or the 10. And at that point, you need to win 2 playing games instead of 1.
Yeah.
So they need to be fully focused on winning these next 2 games. I think LeBron puts on a show. Is he going to play a lot of minutes? I don't know. But I think that he has a monster game.
Yeah, last game, like you mentioned, he had a triple-double, 23 points, 14 rebounds, and 12 assists for LeBron James. You got anything else for this game?
Not really. I'm trying to think of who I'd pick for Memphis if I had to pick anybody. I mean, GG is the obvious choice. LaRavia was randomly really good in the last game that he played. I think he had like double-digit points in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you want to go for LaRavia, maybe threes. Goodwin rebounds is interesting, but yeah, LaRavia had 32 against the Cavs, which means that I can't tell if he's destined to be a potential sleeper option, have a big game, or if he's Malachi Flynn and he's about to go 0 for 11. So I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what type of LaRavia we're going to get. So I guess I'm going to lean to Goodwin rebounds and GG points. Maybe Scottie Pippen Jr. assists.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's an option. But once again, you're grasping at straws backing G League players in the NBA.
Wasn't he on the Lakers roster before he got cut?
That sounds right. I think they drafted. It might have been an undrafted second-round Summer League guy.
Yeah.
Not second round. I think he was an undrafted Summer League guy for a bit.
Okay. All right. Next game on the board. Let's get over to the Toronto Raptors. They are visiting Miami to take on the Heat. Heat are currently a 14.5-point home favorite in this game with a total of 218.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Toronto Raptors, they will be without Scotty Barnes, Chris Boucher, Jakob Poeltl, Gary Trent Jr., and Bruce Brown are both questionable for this game. So do expect to see Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett out there for this Toronto Raptors team. For the Miami Heat, Tyler Hero is available. Kevin Love is available. Terry Rozier is questionable with neck spasms. And then Josh Richardson and Duncan Robinson are both out for this game for the Miami Heat. Heat right now are sitting in play-in tournament bracket in the Eastern Conference. They are in the 8th spot. They are 1 game behind the Sixers. So pretty much, I mean, Heat are going to be a play-in tournament team. Now, it just depends on which seed they end up as. Are they going to host a game or are they going to be traveling on the road for a play-in tournament game? But 14.5 is a number here, Scott.
Remember when the Heat preseason, when their Dame rumors were like a 50-plus win team on win total, and we just laughed at it and took the under, and it was never in doubt? Good times. I wish betting was that easy, but on a regular basis. But I can't take this with Miami. I don't think Miami's that good, or at least in the regular season, they're not that good. Are they going to flip a switch in the playoffs? Maybe. Like, that would not shock me. On a side note, Embiid versus Butler in a play-in game is absolutely incredible television. That'd be a hell of a matchup. But I got to go with Toronto in this game. I think Toronto is a bad team, objectively, but with Quickly playing, they're competent-ish offensively. I don't like Miami. I don't think they're a very good team. They probably should have lost to Atlanta. They won in double overtime. But you're going down the line, and the only good game they had for the last couple of weeks was against Houston. And Houston was in free fall mode. And the Heat won that game by 15.
That was a back-to-back game for the Rockets, too.
It's a back-to-back game, but you're going down the line here. I mean, they beat the Knicks by 10. Good win there. Then they lost to Philly. Ended up beating Houston. Lost to Indiana. Probably should have lost to Atlanta, but won in double overtime. And they got buried by Dallas. I just haven't seen anything from Miami that tells me, oh, you should be laying 14.5. Not only are you going to win, you're going to win by 15-plus points. There's no way in hell I can take Miami. It's Toronto or pass.
Yeah, I don't think I can lay this big number either.
They could, once again, if Toronto's a bad team, if they win by a lot, they win by a lot, but I can't take it. Miami's a team that just doesn't seem engaged for 48 minutes. And if you're laying 15 or 14.5, you need to be engaged for at least 45 minutes. I can't guarantee Miami's going to give you that effort.
Yeah, it's the fact that the Raptors defensively have just been so bad that they just walk into giving up 120 plus points. I know the Brooklyn Nets weren't able to do that.
The Nets are a fake offense. That's fine.
Yeah. And then now you're going up against Miami here as well. I'm not going to lay it here. But again, will we be surprised if they win by 20 plus points? Absolutely not. So with all that being said, Raptors here for me, not going to have a penny on this game. Maybe I'll dig in some team totals for the Miami side and see. And maybe a live look would be a good spot here for the Miami Heat if they come out a little bit slow. But Raptors full game would be the side that I would want to be on pregame here. Total 218.5, and then player props. What are you looking at?
I can't really take an under with Toronto being involved, but Miami's offense has not been good lately. So it's also interesting because the last 2 games are between Miami and Toronto in Miami. So they just have a random back-to-back to end the year, which I find fascinating. Miami better win both those games, by the way. Like, they better win both those games, all jokes aside. But yeah, I'm gonna lean over. Toronto offensively has been okay. Defensively, they're horrible. That's good enough for me. I'll lean to the over.
Yeah, I'll lean to the over here as well. I think this number is a little conservative with the fact, like you mentioned, with Toronto being involved in this game and how bad their defense has been. Player props, anything you're looking at?
Yeah, for player props, Quickly, I think is going to have a big game. So I don't mind Quickly PA, which I gave out last time. The double-double didn't get there, which pisses me off, but it is what it is. Point is, I do think that Quickly is going to have the ball in his hands all the time. Give me points and assists for Quickly.
I'm trying to figure out a 3-point prop here for the Miami Heat because the Raptors' 3-point defense has been absolutely abysmal. The obvious choice would be Tyler Hero. He's at 3.5 at plus 124. If Rozier did end up playing in this game, he's at 2.5 at plus 125. And I know that he's dealing with a neck injury and hasn't been able to produce on the offensive side for this Miami Heat team. But you take a look, he's had at least 3 3-pointers made in 4 of the last 5 games he's actually played. And he only played in 22 minutes in that game against the Indiana Pacers. But this 3-point defense for the Raptors has been absolutely terrible. So at plus money, and if he does in fact playing, I would be on that. If not, I would pivot to Tyler Hero in this game, because Rozier against the Raptors has actually been really, really good this season alone.
If
In
he
fact,
plays,
he
I mean,
had
next
yeah,
pass
if he
stuck.
plays, yeah, 21 points and 22 points, but that was again when he was with the Charlotte Hornets prior to the trade over to the Miami Heat. So those are the two that I was looking at. Do you have anything else for this game?
No. Once again, it's tough to tell which Miami actually shows up for this game. So no.
Next game on the schedule, we got the Atlanta Hawks. They are in Minnesota to take on the T-Wolves. Currently, as it stands, the Wolves are a 14-point home favorite with a total of 227. Looking at the injury report, Karl Anthony Towns does, in fact, make his return. He's officially upgraded to questionable, but did see reports that he is probable to play in this game here for the Minnesota Timberwolves. For the Timberwolves, other than that, that is pretty much it. Where are the Minnesota Timberwolves here? I got to scroll up. Let me see. Yeah, so it's only Jalen Clark. And then, like I said, Cat is officially upgraded to questionable. For the Atlanta Hawks, Clint Capella is questionable. AJ Griffin is questionable. Jalen Johnson is out. Wes Matthews is out. DeJounte Murray is questionable. Oyeki Okongwu is out. And Sadiq Bey is out. Trae Young did return for this Atlanta Hawks team, but right now, 14 points is the number for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are right now one game behind the Denver Nuggets for the 1 spot, and then they are tied record-wise with the OKC Thunder for the 2 spot right now. They do have the tiebreaker over the OKC Thunder, but 14 is the number here, Scott.
I'm taking Atlanta, especially if Cat plays. If Cat plays, I really like Atlanta in this spot. Trae came back last game, and I like Charlotte to win the game, and they did. And Terrell and I agreed. We just thought that anytime you get a star player, I'll put serious quotes around star, because it's going to apply. It's going to apply to Cat, who I don't think is a star, but still, the point is, anytime you get a big contributor back from injury after a long absence, there's a really weird period of trying to readjust both your offense and him to game action, and it usually looks really ugly for the first game or two. And I think that's what happened with Atlanta. Now, it's different with Atlanta because DeJounte didn't play, so it's kind of a swap in, swap out. And Trae, efficiency-wise, was okay. Defensively, he still sucks, but you get my point, is that Trae came back and we thought that they would have to kind of reinvent themselves, and it would be a struggle. There'd be some growing pains. And we saw that against Charlotte. And I think it's a similar spot here. I'm wondering how Minnesota responds. They had a chance to basically grab the 1 seed, and then Ant no-showed the fourth quarter. He scored 0 points. They literally scored. He scored 0 in the fourth quarter, and they rolled over and died in the span of about 5 minutes. So I wonder how they respond mentally to that, I'd say, failure to show up on a big stage. Maybe Ant goes back for 35, maybe, but I'm taking Atlanta. I think Cat's going to show up, and I think he's going to look like a bull in a china shop in a bad way. He's going to be out of control. He's going to be jacking up shots, and there's going to be no overall, I'd say, flow to the offense, because you got to find the right blend of giving him touches while also not trying to let him improvise too much, because it's probably not going to work well. I'm going to lean to Atlanta. I think 14's massive.
Yeah, I think that, well, anytime you see that star player coming back for a team, that usually messes up the offensive flow for that respective team. And I think that, again, for Minnesota, it's the fact that you want to win, and you don't really care if it's by margin. And again, we've seen this Atlanta team; they've been very, very feisty. At least, staying competitive and being in games. Defensively, they've actually been better than expected. I know with Trae Young being back, that really sets them back as far as defensively. But I've gotten this Atlanta Hawks team wrong ever since after the All-Star break, and they've just been in games, and they've fought for the 48 minutes, and they've actually backdoored a couple games that I've actually bet against them. So I'm not going to do that here again against Minnesota, and our take Minnesota in this game, laying 14. So Hawks for me as well, plus 14. Total is at 227 here, Scott. Any thoughts on the total?
Trae's playing. Cat's playing. They don't guard anybody. Y'all take the over.
Yeah, I think over for me here as well. Again, when you get Trae Young back, that just completely changes everything for this Atlanta Hawks team. So we'll keep it at that. You have any player props you like?
I got to think of what I want to take here. Because if Cat plays, that's going to throw a wrench into what I actually like for Minnesota. I think Ant has a big game. I don't think anybody can actually guard him on Atlanta, and I think that Ant, after no showing that entire fourth quarter against Denver, I think he shows up for this game. So I think Ant's going to have a big game. I like his over for points. I think he's going to walk into 30. I'm trying to think of what else I like. Connolly was very good from 3 in that Denver game, so maybe Connolly 3s is worth a look because Atlanta can't guard anybody. For the Hawks, I don't know how many minutes Trey's going to play. I'd be tempted by double-double. I think that he's in line for a big assist game, but I don't know what the minutes are going to be. So I can't really take that. Bogdan, maybe. But, like, I don't have much for Atlanta because I got to wait to see if DeJounte's going to play. I'm going to have to wait and see what the actual minute projection is for Trey. Trey played 21 minutes, and he had 11 assists. He had 11 assists in 21 minutes against Charlotte. I think I have to take the Trey assists in this game.
Yeah. I was tempted by a cat under on his points just because we don't know how many minutes he's actually going to be out there, especially coming back from a meniscus injury. But you mentioned
assuming 25.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards, you mentioned his points prop was at 26.5. He's put up back-to-back 30-plus point games against the Atlanta Hawks. He had 30. Let me see. I just had it in front of me. 32 last year on March 13th, and this season back early in October in Atlanta, he had 31 points. And again, being from that area, you really want to put on a show. But again, defensively, I don't really trust the Hawks to really slow down Anthony Edwards. So 26.5, I think, seems like a gift here for us for his over on his points prop, at least for Anthony Edwards. Did you mention what Trey's assists were in this game?
Let me quickly pull that up. Sorry.
Let me see if I can get it here. He is.
I was going to, and I just completely spaced it. Sorry.
No, I don't see it listed on DraftKings, at least.
They might have to wait for DeJounte and see what happens there. But if DeJounte's out, I'll take the Trey assists again.
Yeah. All right. Not much else for me in this game. You got anything else?
No.
All right. Next game on the schedule, we've got the Detroit Pistons. They are in Dallas to take on the Mavericks. Currently, as it stands, another 14 points. Home favorite here in the Dallas Mavericks. 218.5 is a total. Hosting the Detroit Pistons. Injury report: no Kyrie Irving in this game for the Dallas Mavericks. Let me see who else. Where is Dallas here? Luka is officially questionable, and Derek Lively the second is out. So Kyrie out, Derek Lively gonna be missing the rest of the season. Josh Green did return, but Luka is definitely questionable for this game. Detroit, like we mentioned, played yesterday against against the Chicago Bulls. Cade Cunningham did not play in that game, so possibly he plays here tonight against the Mavericks, but 14 is a number here, Scott.
So I'm going to need your help going through the actual motivation for Dallas in this matchup because so far this season, Dallas and New Orleans have split the two head-to-head meetings. I don't know what the tiebreaker is, but Dallas is 2 games up on New Orleans for the division. Do you know if Dallas clinched the division yet?
Let me go to the division tab here because I have the conference one up. If they're 2 games up,
tiebreaker's tied at 2 for the head-to-head. So I don't know what.
Yeah, they've already clinched the division.
Okay, they've already clinched the division.
Right.
The Clippers have the tiebreaker. So what are they playing for?
And that's exactly why I think that they have Kyrie sitting here tonight.
The only thing they have right now is the, what is it, Prava MVP? That was the expression? Pravi? What is it again?
For what? I'm sorry, this went over my head.
The Luka shirts that they had were, I think it's Slovenian. It's like Prava MVP, which means like true MVP or something. I think. That's like kind of a slogan now that's being pushed around for Luka. Is that the point here?
See if I can find it.
Like Luka just plays, drops 50 and calls it a day. Like is that the point where they're just trying to get Luka to pad his MVP numbers, and that's basically the only reason why he's playing in this game? There's no point. Dallas is clinched into the 5. They're going to play the Clippers. They're going to be the road team, and they already won the division. So this is really just a Luka, please drop as many points as you possibly can to try to win MVP, and then we'll sit everyone against Oklahoma City. That's what's going to happen. So give me all the Luka props.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned this on the last pod. that we know that's Clippers Mavericks, but there's really nothing for the Mavericks to
It's not
play
even home
for.
court. It's already been decided.
Yeah, they can't even fall into the play-in tournament bracket because they're 2 games clear of that. So they're again,
Or
4
the
or 5
5.
is pretty
They're
much set.
officially
Yeah.
the 5.
But do you trust this Pistons team to cover the 14?
I think they could, in theory, if Dallas is going to mess around. If you told me, like last year, I remember it was like Slovenian night, Dallas was tanking, Luka played a quarter, and then they sat him the entire game. He played
Yeah.
1 quarter, and they're like, all right, that's fine. You can move on. If he's really going for an MVP push, and all of his teammates are wearing the Prava MVP shirts, and social media is trying to convince everyone Luka's got a chance. He doesn't. But for the sake of this, let's say that he does. I think he's going to play and try to put up 60 points.
Yeah.
Isn't this like the ultimate Luka massive stat line to try to sway people? Kyrie's not playing. They basically said going to this game, Luka's touching the ball every possession, everyone get out of the way. This might just be a Luka 35 shot attempt game.
Let's see. His points drops at 34.5 here tonight.
Isn't he dropping like 40 or 50 if he plays the entire game?
And that's what we like. We don't know that. Is he going to play the entire game?
Let's
Like we
assume,
can see him.
hypothetically speaking, let's assume Luka plays 40 minutes.
I mean, he
Is he
walks
dropping
into
50?
40. He should at least at minimum 40 to 45.
Would Detroit bother double teaming?
No, I don't think they care.
I think they don't care. I think they don't care either. I think the only way to take this is Luka points. Now, if Luka sits midway through the game, you're probably screwed.
Yeah.
But in reality, I think he's playing solely for the MVP push.
Yeah, 40 plus is at plus 165. I mean, I think that would be the only play in this game. I don't want to mess with the spread. Yeah, I mean, really don't have much else for this game. If you want to bet this game, yeah, like Scott mentioned, it's Luka points. That's pretty
Doesn't
much
this
it.
just scream MVP? I don't want to say manipulation,
Final
but MVP
push.
persuasion type of game.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I don't think we really care for it, but
I think it
I mean,
has
we
no
talked about
impact
this
at all in the erase. I think
Yeah.
I think the voters voted for Joker 3 months ago, but
yeah,
you get my point.
yeah. So I mean, I'm completely passing this game. So again, like you mentioned, like, Luka points would be the only way to look if you want to have some fun and just ladder that up. Maybe dig around for the beat reports and see that if he's like, actually going to be playing the full game or whatever. But yeah, Luka points would be the only thing for me in this game. You have anything else?
I'm just saying, Kyrie sitting and Luka
Yeah.
playing,
Yeah,
like that just tells me he's clearly trying to go for some ridiculous scoreline tonight. Let me see if I can find triple double though, because maybe Luka goes for like a 40-point triple double, so maybe that's an option. 2-1, really? 2-1? I'll take that. Sure.
he's done against
I'll
the
parlay 40 points with triple double. Why not?
Luka against the Pistons. Oh, I should spell Pistons right. Give me a second here. All right, Luka against the Pistons in his career, he's averaging 36.1 points per game in 8 career matchups.
Okay.
35, 53, 39 in the last game in Detroit back on March 9th. He had 39, 10, and 10.
Yeah, it sounds like a Luka triple double game with like 40 points. Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Maybe
This
that's
game?
another angle. Luka PRA.
Yeah, I was curious to see what when we get to Underdog, what their spicy is on his triple double.
I'm just going to warn you right now, though. When this game's done, assuming Luka plays the entire game, beware of NBA Twitter. You're going to see a bunch of Luka MVP tweets once again. Just I'm warning you right now. They're going to flood the entire ecosystem. Keep that in mind.
I think we parlay Jokic 40 and Luka 40 tonight.
I can't do that because Joker, I genuinely think, does not care about the I think he just wants to win. I think San Antonio is going to try to force Joker to beat him by dropping 40 again.
But it's just I really don't want to bet.
I really don't want to bet 40 when Wemby's guarding him. Like I just don't. Like I feel a lot better about Luka 40 than Joker 40 because Joker's still playing for something. They're going for the 1 seed. Joker's not going to be an idiot trying to jack up 35 shots. If that's what the defensive game plan is for San Antonio, then he'll do it. Luka, I think, is going into this game saying, listen, I'm dropping 45, 10, and 10. Yeah. Everyone get out of my way. I think that's what's happening. So
All right, next game on the schedule here, we've got the New Orleans Pelicans. They are going to be traveling to San Francisco to take on the Warriors. Warriors, as stands, are laying 4 points in this game with a total of 221. Both of these teams did play yesterday, like we talked about. Pelicans got the huge victory in blowout fashion against the Sacramento Kings, and the Warriors, who sat Clay and Draymond yesterday, were able to squeak out a victory against the Blazers 192. Don't have an official injury report because, like I mentioned, both teams did play last night. But taking a look at the standings, like we mentioned, Pelicans right now are holding on to that sixth spot. They're one game clear of the Phoenix Suns. And like we talked about, the Warriors are tied with record-wise, at least, with the Kings, the Warriors, and Kings, Warriors, and Lakers all have the same record at 45 and 35. So again, big game here tonight for both teams here, Scott. -4 is the number for the Warriors hosting the Pelicans. What are you thinking?
I guess I'm going to lean Golden State because at least they sat some guys yesterday.
Yeah,
So Clay and Draymond should be rested for this game. Really tough call. This game matters for both teams. It's a
yeah,
really, really tough call. I'm going to lean Golden State. It's also weird because the road team has won each of the first two meetings by like 30 plus points, by 28 plus points. So I don't know if home court matters. Golden State, though, has been one of the hottest teams in the league. The Pelicans had a nice win against the Kings. But I wonder about fatigue. You play a game at that much pace, 258. You're going up and down the entire game. Now you're playing Golden State. It's not the greatest spot for New Orleans. I'll lean Golden State. I'm not going to bet it, though. I'll be watching this game. It's a hell of a game, but
yeah.
I think I'm going to lean Golden State.
Yeah, I mean, you just take a look at the number of minutes these Pelicans players played last night, at least two guys. CJ McCollum played 40 minutes. Trey Murphy played 45 minutes. They did, I think, a pretty good job of managing Zion's minutes, where he only played 31, and then Herb Jones played 29. Valanciunas had 33 minutes last night. And again, like we mentioned with the Warriors, they did enough to get the victory last night against the Blazers. But now, like we talked about, Draymond sat in that game, Clay sat in that game. So I would be on the Warriors side here, -4, just thinking the Pelicans either run out of gas in that third quarter or in the second half of this game here. But like we talked about, huge implications as far as playoff seeding for both of these teams, respectively, where they are sitting right now in the Western Conference. Total is sitting at 221 in this game, Scott. Any thoughts on the total?
We always talk about playoff atmospheres leaning under, but the two meetings this season have flown over. I think I'm going to lean over. I don't really know. I'm going to lean over, but it's not a strong opinion.
Let's see what Warriors have done on back-to-backs. 10-6 right up, 10-6 against the spread, 9-7 towards the over.
Okay.
If they're at home, 4-2 towards the over, and it's right at about 228 points per game. So yeah, I'll lean over. I don't love it. Again, this is a big game like we talked about, so we could see the defense playing at a high level, but then I would have thought that last night in the Kings game where they scored 260 plus points in that game. So but I do like the Warriors side here. Player props or anything you're looking at?
For player props, I'm kind of tempted by Curry under for points. He's been
Yeah.
terrible. Like nobody's
Yeah.
talking about it. I've been
Hmm.
trying to bring it up on the show for a couple weeks. Curry's been terrible post
Yeah.
All-Star break with his efficiency. Now maybe he has a game where he just dominates. It is what it is, but people keep waiting for it, and Curry has really not done much, and nobody's really held him accountable because they keep winning. But just saying, for prop purposes, I want to pull up Curry's points because that's 26.5, and he, historically speaking, has done very well against New Orleans. But to look at the actual numbers for Curry recently, he had less than 24 points in back-to-back games. He's gone under this number in 6 of the last 9. And even if you want to go back further, he's gone under this number in 12 of the last 20. He just has not been that efficient. Last meeting, he ended up having 15 against New Orleans. They lost the game by 36, so he ended up just not playing much. But I think I have to lean to Curry under. He just has not been great efficiency-wise. So I'll back that. I like Trey Murphy threes.
Yeah.
I know he might be tired, but I love that guy. Tremendous shooter. Phenomenal shooter. McCollum's been really good. Maybe he has a good game too. But Yeah, I think I'd probably look for those. Maybe if you want to look for a Valanciunas. I'm curious. Do you think Valanciunas plays a lot in this game, or do you think they look more for Nance?
So Nance did sit yesterday, so I'm thinking that you get more Nance minutes here tonight if he in fact does end up playing in this game.
I'd assume as much. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. But yeah, I'd probably just stick with who's been good. So I'd probably look for. I think Draymond has a good game. Maybe if you want to go for RA, I don't mind him having a big game on the boards or for assists or both. I think he'll have a good game because he sat yesterday. I think Valanciunas might get played off the floor with the
Yeah.
pace of this game.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a decent sell high spot after a double-double yesterday. But I'm kind of just going to stick with the usual guys. Zion should get whatever he wants, and I think that Golden State is going to do a lot by committee.
Yeah, Valanciunas hasn't played more than 23 minutes in the last 5 head-to-head meetings against the Warriors. And, what you mentioned is probably that he's getting played off the floor, probably getting, eaten up in that pick and roll between whether it's Curry, Clay, Draymond, or the case might be. So if you want to look at unders here for Valanciunas, I couldn't talk you off of that here in this game against the Warriors. Anything else for this game, Scott?
No. Once again, fun game. I'll be watching it.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Still got 3 games left here. Rockets, they are in Portland to take on the Trailblazers. Currently, the Rockets are a 6.5 point road favorite, total of 219 in this game. Looking at the injury report, couldn't tell you because, again, both these teams did play last night. Rockets fell short in Utah, now traveling to Portland, and Portland stayed competitive in that game against the Warriors, but fell a little bit short in that game as well. But Rockets laying 6.5 here in Portland against the Blazers here. Scott, what are your thoughts on this game?
I'm going to lean Portland money line in this game. Houston had a very competitive game against Utah yesterday where Van Vliet scored 40 and they still lost the game. I'm going to give Portland props. Nothing to play for. They were good defensively against Golden State.
Yeah, they were.
Offensively, they fell apart once Looney checked back in like the final 6 minutes. They were absolutely destroyed in the final 6 minutes, but they were winning in the fourth quarter for a must-win game for Golden State. So I know Golden State was down a couple guys, but Portland showed something in that game, which is good enough for me. At least they're trying. I'll lean Portland. It's a game where both teams don't care. Both teams played yesterday. Houston had a high-scoring game that they lost, so there's extra fatigue there. I'm not laying 6.5 with Houston on the road. I'll take Portland.
Portland, back-to-back situations at home this season. 4-4 straight up, 7-1 against the spread. They are in back-to-back situations playing at home. Overall, in back-to-back situations this season, 8-5 straight up, 11-2 against the spread. And again, this Rockets team, again, we talked about it, right? The winning streak they had, it wasn't a fluke because they played against teams that they could beat and they took care of those games. But when it got to the point where they started playing some of the better competition, like the true colors of the Rockets at that point came out. And right now, defensively, they are right now the worst team when it comes to defense. And it's not even close. Portland, like I mentioned, they've been playing really good defense. They're actually up to number 9 as far as defensive efficiency over the last 5 games. Overall. So I could only look at the Blazers way in this game at plus 6.5. And I agree about you put something on the money line if you want to split a unit on each there with the Blazers spread plus 6.5 in the money line. I couldn't talk you off of that in this game. Player props will be a total 219. Anything on that, Scott?
I'm going to lean over. Houston hasn't guarded anybody in weeks.
Yeah, Portland Trailblazers team total over full game over. I couldn't talk you off of that. I think that the Blazers offense bounced back here tonight after a little lackluster performance last night. So, 219 seems a little conservative. Don't see much player props out right now. Only see Aiden and Scoot Henderson listed as far as player props for either team. But do you have any player props you're looking at?
I'll stick with Scoot for now. Double-double. I'm intrigued by it at like plus 135. He's had at least 12 assists in 2 straight games. He had 12 yesterday. Even though Portland scored like 92 points, he still had 12 assists. Got to mention the turnovers. He also had 9 turnovers in that game.
9, 8,
His turnovers, 5. If you want to hear a fun joke, do you want to guess what Scoot's line is for turnovers?
So I think last week I saw it at 5.5. I think they probably maybe adjusted it to either 5.5 or 6.5.
It's 5.5.
Yeah.
I've never seen a 5.5 turnover line in my entire life. It's 5.5. Yeah. I can't even argue with it. He had 9 yesterday. I can't argue with that, but I'm going to have to lean over on both. last 2 games, 8 turnovers, 9 turnovers. Yeah, sure. The assists are there. The ratio is not good, but I'm going to have to consider Scoot assists and turnovers. The order you can decide for yourself, but he's going to have the ball in his hands all the time.
Yeah, definitely think the turnovers continue here tonight.
And
You
Jabari
have anything
Walker
else?
rebounds when it gets posted.
Yeah, well, yeah, again, I think that's a given. So we'll be on Walker rebounds here for sure. Anything else for this game?
No. That's it.
All right. Maybe not maybe the game of the night, but big game for the Suns here. Suns are in Sacramento to take on the Kings here. -5 is the number right now for Phoenix with a total of 224. Looking at the injury report here for the Phoenix Suns, they have everybody playing in this game. Sacramento, like we talked about, played yesterday against the Pelicans at home, but they're in a back-to-back situation here again. Phoenix right now on the heels of the Pelicans for the 6th spot in the Western Conference. So again, I'll check the tiebreaker here between those two teams, but everything to play for the Phoenix Suns here, not so much for the Sacramento Kings here, Scott. But -5 is a number for the Suns here.
Yeah, I don't like either of these teams. I think both these teams are losers, but I got to figure out which one I want to take in this game. It's a great spot for Phoenix because they didn't play yesterday, and the Kings had a high scoring game that they lost at home. I think I'm going to lean Suns. They almost lost back-to-back games to the Clippers, but they ended up winning in that fourth quarter. But I'm going to have to lean Phoenix. I just don't think Sacramento has enough size to deal with Nurkic, and Durant has not been good lately, but Booker I know can handle it.
Yeah.
Durant's been bad. But I'm going to lean Phoenix. I just think they have a better scheduling spot, B, more talent on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
With Monk being out, I just don't know where Sacramento's going to score consistently. So I'm going to have to lean Phoenix.
Suns have won 2 out of 3 games this season against the Pelicans, so they do have the tiebreaker. This is going to be the 4th game between at least the Suns and the Kings. 2-2. They've split so far. 1-3 against the spread are the Suns, and the under is 3-1, averaging 242 points per game in that span. I like the Suns in this spot here. This number opened up -3 last night, and I took the -3 with the Suns. And it's also the fact that on back-to-back situations this season, the Kings have been really, really bad. 6-8 straight up. They're 5-9 against the spread. But if that back-to-back game, that second leg of the back-to-back is at home for the Kings, 3-4 straight up, 1-6 against the spread in that span for the Kings here. And I feel like they used up a lot of their energy and I guess I don't want to say like offensive output or their juice last night, but I think that took a lot out of this team last night for the Sacramento Kings. They put up 123 points, and you would think that if they put up 123 against the Pelicans, who were without Brandon Ingram, I think they would have won that game. But you take a look at some of the minutes played last night for this team. De'Aaron Fox played 41 minutes. Sabonis had 35 minutes. Barnes and Keegan Murray 33 and 36 respectively. You had Davion Mitchell coming off the bench playing 27. So I have the more rested team here in the Suns. I think that Kevin Durant does bounce back here tonight. Devin Booker, after that first game with the Clippers that they played those 2 games in a row, he was bad, but he bounced back nicely in that second game. So I do like the Phoenix Suns side here, -5 against the Kings, who, again, they're cemented into that play-in tournament bracket, so I don't think it really matters for them. But, again, Phoenix has the opportunity to get out of that play-in tournament bracket, knowing that the Pelicans are against the Warriors here tonight. So definitely going to be watching those 2 games here for sure. So saying all that to be on the Sun side, -5. Anything on the total?
I'm going to lean over, but, yeah, your guess is as good as mine because I can't stand either of these teams.
Player props.
For player props, I do think Fox has a big game because somebody's going to have to shoot the ball 25 times, and it's going to be him. But I think for the sake of this matchup, I think Booker's going to have a big game. I'm tired of expecting Durant to do anything. I've reached I've reached the point. I think I reached it maybe a couple months ago. I don't want to call Durant washed, but he's in somewhere in that middle territory. He's in that middle territory between like consistent 30-plus point score and washed. He's somewhere in the middle at that point, but I can't trust him on a game-in, game-out basis. I just don't think he's the superstar that people still think he is. He's just not. So I'll go with Booker in the spot. I think at the end of the day, you're looking at a situation where Booker has killed this team historically. I don't think Sacramento can guard him. I think he's going to have a good game. Nurkic is interesting because Nurkic was fantastic in the last game. Only scored 3 points. but he had 19 rebounds and 10 assists. So I think Nurkic rebounds is worth a look. He's going to try to kind of match Sabonis' physicality, and I think he can do that. So I'm going to lean to Nurkic rebounds in this game too.
Yeah, the one thing about Kevin Durant, I mean, he's had a lot of success against the Kings. He's had his points prop right now is at 25.5. He's gone over that number in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 straight games against the Phoenix Suns. Sorry, against Sacramento Kings. And in the 3 games as a player for the Phoenix Suns against the Kings, 28, 27, and 28. So I know, like we mentioned, he's been really bad, but if it was a bounce back spot for Kevin Durant to come out and just have a good shooting night, and maybe he's just in a slump, because I watched those 2 games against the Clippers. He was just missing shots, and they were some of the more open shots that we know that he can knock down. But I think this could be a spot where he does bounce back against the Sacramento Kings here. So, yeah, give me I'll take Durant here. I'll put some faith in him here tonight to get over 25.5 points as a player prop here. Anything else for this game?
No, I got nothing else. Do you agree with me though about Durant? I feel like reputation's always going to carry players.
He's also getting older.
No, I know. I'm saying it's warranted. Same thing with Curry.
Yeah.
But you're looking at these guys who have been superstars, dominant players for a long time, and people are still, of course, they can have games where they show up and have monster performances. But you're watching these guys over and over again struggle for the last couple weeks. And people are just saying, oh no, like they're going to have a monster game tonight. I'm tired of guessing when these guys are going to have monster games. Curry and Durant have not really been that good, at least for their own standards. They're insanely high standards for the last couple weeks, and nobody's talking about it. They have not been good. If you've been taking overs on their props, you've done pretty poorly.
Yeah.
I'm acknowledging it. Durant's not the guy that he used to be. People keep pretending that he is. He's not. It's fine. He's older. He's been around for a long time. It makes sense. But I have to point it out. Durant has just not been good lately, and I feel like nobody's really talked about it.
Yeah, and also I think could be the fact that he's playing with 2 other ball dominant guys, and maybe obviously that at that point your offensive stats are going to fall off a little bit as well, right? Because the shot volume has to go around. I think that if he was on another team, I'm just throwing a team out there like, I don't know, like the Pacers or a team that needs like another superstar, I still think that he would be a close to a 30-point per game scorer. But it's just a fact right now that he's on a team with the Phoenix Suns where you have 3 guys that are ball dominant, and that we talked about that at the beginning of the season, that at some point Kevin Durant was maybe going to have to take or be the second fiddle and be Robin to the Batman of Devin Booker. And again, we've seen flashes of Bradley Beal that was able to score as well. So I think that's kind of been the detriment for Kevin Durant. But I still think that he's I think if I needed someone to go out there to score 40 points for me, I think Kevin Durant would be in my top 5 lists at minimum, maybe even top 3.
I understand the point that Q's making, where he's talking about how Durant's still a top 5 scorer. In the league, he is 5th in the league in points per game. I'm just saying, for the month of April, all of his numbers have plummeted.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the numbers right now. He's played 6 games. So this season, he's shooting about 52% from the floor. This month, he's shooting 45.5%. He's shooting 31.8% from 3, and he's averaging 23.7 points per game. In the month of April, he's been really, really bad for his own standards. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah. All right, Scott, last game of the night, we have the Utah Jazz. They are in LA to take on the Clippers. Clippers laying 15 in this game with a total of 224.5. Looking at the injury report, Utah played last night against the Rockets, so no injury report submitted for them just yet. For the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard is out, Josh Primo is out, and James Harden is officially questionable for this game. So you do have Paul George, you do have Russell Westbrook in this game for the Clippers. 15 is a number here for the Clippers, who again don't have anything really to play for because they are that number 4 seed in the Western Conference here, Scott. But anything for this game?
I'll lean Jazz, not a strong opinion, but they won a game yesterday. That counts. Clippers are playing for nothing. Give me Westbrook triple-double.
Yes. Yeah. That's going to be my call as well. If Harden does not end up playing, give me, you got to get on. And I'm kicking myself because when I saw James Harden pop up questionable, I think this was the first game against the Suns. I said to myself that Harden says you need to get on Russell Westbrook triple double. I didn't see what the odds were for that.
It was
For
16 to 1.
Russell Westbrook, 16-1.
The one he actually had a triple double on you.
Yeah. Damn. But again, I think it's the fact again that if Harden doesn't play here tonight, you got to get on Russell Westbrook for the triple double here tonight. I don't want to lay this.
Terrence Mann too. I don't mind Terrence Mann in this spot.
Yeah. Don't really want to lay the 15 here with the Clippers, but team total over. I mean, sorry, full game over would be the look for me in this game. You still have guys coming off the bench for the Clippers that can score points.
Bones
Highland, Terrence Mann, like you mentioned, Amir Coffey. So they have guys that
probably
can
going to
score
start, but yes.
Yeah. But yeah, over would be the play for me. I don't have any interest on the side here. Player probably already mentioned it would be a Westbrook triple double. After that, I don't have anything else. You have anything else?
Keontae.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
All right. Minute 40, hour 40 into the books. That is
15 games. What do you want from us?
I mean, come
15
on.
Games.
We're trying to find some winners here. We're trying to duplicate what we did yesterday on the pod here, Scott. So let's get into our lock and dog here for tonight. You want to lead us off?
Yeah, there's actually a decent amount that I like in this card. I'm trying to think of what I want to go with. I know what my dog's going to be. For my lock, I mean, I actually have a couple of options for dog because, I mean, that Luka triple-double price is really just staring me right in the face. I mean, I could go player prop. I could go side. You know what? I'm going to go with the sketchy line of the night. I'll back it. Give me the Wizards. Let's have some fun. Give me the Wizards -2. I know. I thought about Scoot also for assists, honorable mention. I like the assist too for Scoot, but a couple plays here. Maybe if we want to throw in a prop too, we can do that. But give me the Wizards. I think it's pretty telling the Bulls won by 20-something last night against Detroit. And their dogs against the worst team and the second worst team in the league. Sure. I think that tells me Chicago's going to sit half the team. So I'll go with the Wizards. I'll follow the line movement here. Give me the Wizards -2. For my dog, give me Luka triple-double in this game at about 2-1. He's going to do whatever he wants. He's going to try to put on a monster game. And maybe you can argue that I should be taking the points instead of the triple-double. Maybe. But the point is, I think there's a massive stat line brewing for Luka. So I do like that idea. And for my prop, give me Scoot double-double at +130, 135.
All right. For my lock, I'm going to lay it with the Sixers. I think that Embiid does, in fact, end up playing in this game. It's an opportunity for him or for the Sixers to get out of that play-in tournament bracket, possibly. They just got to win out here, and I think they do that. And I think it starts here tonight with the Sixers. Magic just going in the wrong direction. Franz Wagner questionable. I just don't think they'll be able to contain Joel Embiid or even the scoring power that the Sixers have with Embiid. So I'll lay it here with the Sixers -7.5. For my dog, Charlotte is tempting to have some fun with. No, it's not the Pistons. Give me Portland.
Okay.
Portland +200. We talked about it. They've been really good in back-to-back situations. Rockets aren't playing any type of defense. Took a tough loss last night. They were leading for, I want to say, some of that game, and they just weren't able to close it out. I think Portland.
How do you lose when Van Vliet drops 42 points? How do you lose that game?
Especially when we had 20 in the first quarter. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll fade my team here. I'll take the Portland Trailblazers +200 on the money line here, Scott. One order of business left. That is going to be our Underdog fantasy entry.
By the way, one thing I want to mention quickly.
Yeah.
Caesars does have Luka over 49.5 points at +750. Might be objectively a horrible deal, but throwing it out there, there is a book that does have a Luka 50 piece. If you wanted it, it is there. Just saying.
What'd you say the number was? +750?
+750.
And then I know DraftKings has that
leading score for the day.
No. The next player to score 60+, but I was trying to find the odds for that. I think it was really bad odds for Luka. He is the leader. Let me see if I can find it here quickly.
He should be.
So next to score 60+. This is how bad the deal is. Luka, DraftKings has it at 5-1.
For what?
To be the next player to score 60 plus.
Okay. There's only 2 games left. So if nobody gets 60, does it void or you just lose?
Yeah, it's voided. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it is
voided.
voided. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
I thought they
yeah.
were just going to screw you. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. But it says last player to do it was Jalen Brunson back on March 29th. So
JR saying they have 1,000.
Where is that?
Bet 365.
Okay. All right. Yeah, again, definitely shop around. This is the Luka night. If you want to bet on Luka, but again, I would definitely check with the beat reporters if there's any minutes limitation here or not, because the Mavericks don't really have anything to play for. And we saw what happened with Giannis. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen to Luka if you are a Mavericks fan. All right.
Once again, we're not saying he's going to drop 50, but there's
the blueprint is there. Yeah,
the blueprint is there. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah. All right, Scott, let's do our underdog fantasy entry here for tonight. Hopefully we can close out the season with another winner here. You want to start with what do we
like? I
like?
mentioned Luka, but I don't know if you want points or if you want to go for triple-double spicy. Probably points, right?
Let's see what is spicy. What did you say the odds were for his triple-double?
It was about 2-1. I was officially going to actually look at that. So just to go through my picks once again, I have the Wizards -2 as my lock. My dog's going to be on a Luka triple-double.
Okay.
Maybe a little sprinkle there on the 50 at 10-1. The triple-double for Luka is about plus 190.
Okay.
And the 190 is the line I'll go with. And the last one is Scoot double-double, which is plus 130.
Triple-double for Luka on Underdog is at 1.25.
That's absolutely horrible. Okay, we're taking points.
You know what I really like is first quarter higher 10 points for Luka.
Okay.
Like, don't you think that if he's going to go out and score 30,
if he's sitting, then he's still playing the whole first quarter. So yeah, it's good.
And he plays so I think we should go with that.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so we'll go higher 10 points in the first quarter for Luka on Underdog Fantasy. We'll start with that. What else did we like here tonight?
I'll probably play that personally. That just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. You want to go Scoot?
Sure.
Assist they have at 1.05 spicy at 9.5, or you want to go points and assists higher?
Do they have double-double?
Double-double is 1.1 higher spicy.
Basically the same thing, but sure. I'll take the extra. Sure. We'll take the extra 0.5, whatever. Yeah, double-double's fine.
All right. So we'll add Scoot in there. I wish we knew if Harden was playing here tonight or not. If not, we got it on Russell Westbrook, but that's okay.
They probably wouldn't have had a lines up anyway.
Yeah. What else did we like? AD, but I'm worried about a blowout in that game. Do we like anybody for the Washington side? They only have Jordan Poole up.
I mean, not really. I'm kind of just picking Washington because I think Chicago's going to sit everybody. It's not really about who I think's going to have a monster game for Washington.
What about Brandon Miller points?
I can get behind that.
Higher on 18.5?
That does sound low.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go with that for tonight. All right. So close out the season, the regular season at least, with our underdog fantasy entry. Luka, higher 10 points in the first quarter. Scoot Henderson, double-double, higher at 1.1 spicy. And then we'll go Brandon Miller, higher 18.5 points against the Boston Celtics here tonight. That gets you to about 6.6x. $10 will get you 66 in return here tonight for that underdog fantasy entry. Again, underdogfantasy.com. Make sure you guys use our promo code NBASGPN. We are cashing entries. Did it yesterday. Hopefully we can do it again here tonight to make it 2 in a row to close out the season. All right, that is going to wrap it up for this episode. Hour 49 in the books. Full schedule of games here tonight in the association. Still plenty to play for a lot of these teams. Scott, anything else we want to mention before we get out of here?
No, it's a long episode. We should probably actually get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here. We'll be back next week talking playoffs. Enjoy the final 2 days of the regular season for the NBA, and then we are on to the playoffs. All right, good luck this weekend with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.